Welcome to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and this is a space where women who value achievement, success, accomplishment, and wealth, but also crave happiness, love, joy, and deep fulfillment come to remember that we get to have both. Not by doing more, but by being more of who we truly are. In this show, we explore identity, energy, alignment, and embodiment because you didn't come here to follow someone else's rules. You came to right your own. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and today I'm going to share a little something with you around money goals. I am not setting any money goals for 2026, and I actually have some clients who are going through this as well, and I just want to have a conversation about it because a big thing that is on my heart is this whole decentering of money, this whole really pulling the power away that I personally have given money, and I know a lot of professional women have. As always, what I share for you here on the show is a lot of my own journey and a lot of my own story and a lot of my own experiences. And obviously, I naturally attract clients who are in similar situations. So most of the clients I work with, just to give you some context, are entrepreneurs, business owners, women with corporate careers that have big career goals, a lot of real estate agents. It's a lot of people who are trying to create something really big in the world. And what I have found for myself personally, and also for my clients, when we try to create something out of ourselves, outside of ourselves, something kind of wild happens. And so for me, and I shared with this on last week's podcast, money was a big part of my story. I was very addicted to money, to chasing money. My worthiness was in money. My identity was in money. And for I don't know how many decades of my life, I believed if I could just make enough money, I could solve all of my problems. And after having a $1.2 million year and realizing that money wasn't going to solve the problem, I needed to figure out what the fuck actually was, right? I knew intuitively, and I don't know in what capacity, that there was more to life than what I was experiencing. And that put me here. And I also want to be clear that I know for some people this sounds irresponsible, right? A little rebellious, uncomfortable, like you run a business. And honestly, guys, I experience this too. Like I have let go of so much attachment. I've done a lot of money work, but this is the first year I've said, you know what? The number one benchmark of success isn't going to be money. I'm not even going to write something down. And I'm in right now, the season I'm in is in Create 2026. I'm doing these private sessions. They're fucking incredible. The conversations we're having are so good. You know, I'm visioning my own journey. I'm attention setting. I'm really anchoring into deciding how I want to live and work. And so for me, when I thought about got to the part of the Create 2026 workbook where it was like, what do you desire this year? And the first line is, in your career and your business. And for me, I realized that my desire, well, yes, of course, I want to make money. My desire in my career and my work is to do work I fucking love, to change the lives of the clients and the women that I work with, to actually have more women experience the freedom that I'm experiencing in my life. That's what I want professionally. And it was the first time that ever really happened, because if you'd asked me a year ago, Ryan, what do you want in your business? I would have been like, I'd like to have a $1.25 million a year, right? It was, I want to serve 200 women. And again, I'm not vilifying any of this. I'm merely sharing my experience. So this is not me saying my way is right and your way is wrong. This is me sharing, hey, I have been setting money goals somewhere since, I don't know, and we're recording this in 2026, right? And I've only hit it about 30% of the time, right? I've only hit those number goals about 30% of the time. So I have a 30% success rate, and I keep doing the same motherfucking thing over and over and over again. So for me, it was like, fuck, I got to do something different. If anything else in our life only had a success rate of 30%, then we would do something different, right? We'd be like, this is bananas, but we still keep planning for our businesses and planning for our goals and planning for our careers in the same exact way, even though most of the women that I talk to aren't either A, aren't hitting the goals, or B, are hitting the goals and aren't fucking happy, right? So anyway, but here's why. I want to explain why. Is every single time, either whether it was conversations with clients, in the workshop I led for all my current clients, in my own work, when Derek and I sat down and did Create 2026 together, every single time money enters the conversation, it brings pressure. For me in particularly, right? Money being my drug of choice, if you will. It's pressure, it's drama, it's contraction, it's chasing, it's figuring it out, right? And it just creates all this stuff. So I'm like, why am I doing that? Why am I putting pressure on something that I want to love and something that I want to, grow on its wildest imagination? Why am I putting this pressure on it? And so for me, when I introduce money, I introduce profession. I have to go out and find this money, make this money, be worthy of this money, earn this money, deserve this money, right? We all have our money shit. So I realized, what if I stopped doing that? What if that was not the focus? Would my energy shift? And it already has, guys. And it's only been a couple of weeks since I started doing this. And a client had asked me a question like, Ryan, are you scared? And of course, right? I am scared because this is not normal. This is not the way you're supposed to do it. I'm not immune to feeling fear around those things. I'm not immune to that uncertainty. But what I am very certain of is what I have been doing hasn't been working. What I have been doing hasn't been creating the relationship that I want with money, right? So many areas of my life, what I'm doing works. It works so fucking well. But do you know what? I don't do in any of those other things in my life that are going well. I don't put pressure on them. I don't put pressure on my relationship. And my relationship is one of the things I treasure most in my life, right? Like I don't put pressure on the kids. I let them be kids and I give them the options and I parent very openly, right? Like I don't put pressure on what I'm doing with my body right now. And again, I think that's why my body has been changing so much because when I work out, there's no longer this pressure to hit a certain number or be a certain size. I'm literally just working out for longevity, for the experience. So everything in my life that is thriving right now doesn't have any pressure in it. So why would I add pressure, right? So I'm removing the pressure. So for me, that means removing the money goal. And like I said, 30% success rate, I felt safe letting it go, right? Why would I continue to use a method that clearly doesn't inspire me to be the greatest version of myself? So let me explain to you what happens. Okay, so I'm going to talk about pressure. I'm going to talk about this from a couple different angles, and this might just flow with me. If this resonates, great. If not, don't worry about it. But the moment you set, again, a money goal, something subtle happens, right? You create separation. There is you, and there's the number. And now I have a gap. There's a little bit of press. And that's normal. That's part of the creation process, right? We learn what we do want. So we know what we don't want. So we know what we do want. So this isn't inherently bad. But again, if you have a lot of drama around money, if you have a lot of noise around money, if you have a lot of beliefs and things that challenge you around money, that gap becomes pressure because I've got to figure out how to solve for that gap. So, and even when money is already coming in, like some of you might already know, some of you maybe have a salary, you have a full-time job, you know how much money you're going to make. Maybe you have a base salary and you're a salesperson on top of it. Maybe you're a realtor and you average X or whatever. Like sometimes there's just like guaranteed, I know this is automatically going to happen. Maybe there's contract signed, there's business on track. But again, that still is, there's this gap I have to fill. There's this thing that doesn't exist and I have to force it to exist. And so what the nervous system hears in these moments is what I have isn't enough and I need to go get more, right? What I have isn't enough and I need to go get more. So that's what our nervous system has. And our body starts reacting to that. And then our Wi-Fi signal, we've been talking about our Wi-Fi signal the last couple of weeks, right now shows up in a place of lack. I've got to go find the $200,000 I don't have. Say your goal was $500,000 and 300,000 is your average. Like, all right, I'm probably going to come in around 300. Now I got to go find 200 I don't have. I'm instantly coming from a place of lack, right? I'm instantly coming into I have to go produce a result. A result is masculine energy. A result is chasing, solving, strategizing, fixing. Masculine energy is focused on a result. Feminine energy is focused on the experience. When it comes to the energetics here, I'm focused on the experience. I trust that if I flow my energy to the experience, the result will naturally happen. So what happens here, though, is there creates a scorecard. There creates a pressure every single day. I can win or not. Am I there or am I not? And again, if I've set an annual revenue goal, I'm not there for most of the year, right? I'm not there. I'm not there. I got to fix it. My goal, I'm not hitting my goal. When I sit down to evaluate the day or the week or the month or the quarter, I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm not there, right? Or I'm there, but I wonder if I could get more, right? Like either way, this tends to screw us over if we're stuck, right? Because even when like you hit a number goal, most of you, even if you hit it, so say for instance, your goal for the year of income is $500,000 for 2026. I'm going to pull up my calculator. That's about $125,000 for the quarter. Well, say for instance, the end of Q1, you're at 200. You're going to be like, ooh, if I could do 200 a quarter, maybe I can do 800. You will adjust the revenue goal. You will adjust the revenue goal because that's just the way you are wired, right? So then we've got this pressure and the pressure is creating pressure. And so if pressure is the energy I'm putting out, what am I creating more of? I'm creating more pressure. And like I said, I don't want pressure in 2026. That is not one of the energies I'm bringing into 2026. So I'm not going to choose goals that create pressure. So another thing that happens here, right? So in addition to creating this pressure, creating this gap, creating this separation, creating a lot of noise, if you have a lot of drama around money, there's another thing that happens, right? And I actually realized this when I was coaching a client. And the question was, what if setting a money goal is actually limiting us? It's actually capping us. It's actually keeping us from what we're capable of. So again, let's go back to my goal of $500,000, right? So you've never made $500,000 before. So again, there's this, oh my gosh, that's more money than I've ever made. Can I do it? Am I capable, right? So all of my lack energies, all of my insecurities come up, right? The fear, the doubt, I don't know how, this feels huge. And then of course the subconscious stuff comes up. Am I going to be hated or ousted from the tribe if I actually do this? There's all that as well. But the resistance becomes the dominant energy. So now I have resistance to $500,000, and that is my dominant energy because I've never done that before. But what if, just for funsies, you were actually capable of seven figures? You were actually capable of $1 million or something you can't even conceptualize yet. But you have limited it because you've chosen 500 as a possible, maybe sort of kind of, wouldn't it be nice number arbitrarily, right? You've chosen that. But now that there's so much drama around it and you've never done it before and it feels so big and it feels so hard and OMG that you could have been capable of 1 million, but you're stressing out over 500. So 1 million isn't available to you. Do you see how that works with your Wi-Fi signal, right? So recently I was listening to this meditation and I wish I could tell you what meditation it was, but one of the things that it said in the meditation, it stuck with me, was this idea of that I am capable or I expect or I am meant for more abundance than I can even imagine. I am meant for more abundance than I cannot even imagine yet. And something just kind of clicked for me in that moment. Again, it was, I'd been listening to that meditation or I had listened to that meditation and then I'm having this conversation with the client and it was kind of like the picture became clear. Have you ever had those moments, right? Where you're like, it's kind of fuzzy. I don't know what it looks like. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, boom, this is what I meant, right? There's an amount of abundance available to you that you can't even imagine, right? Like you don't even know that it exists because you can't tune into it. So another way that I will work with my clients on their energy is we'll use frequencies like literal radio signals, which is so appropriate because I started my career selling radio advertising. And I promise you, I think that is not a coincidence, right? But you can't imagine a frequency you're not close to, right? So let's say, for instance, you're down here. I live in Kansas City, right? So 93.3 is like our top 40 station, right? You're down here at 93.3. That's your frequency. And the amount of abundance you can't even imagine is 106.5. That used to be a country station. I don't even know what it is anymore, right? You can't imagine what's going on at 106.5 because you're at 93.3. You might maybe be able to imagine like what's happening at 94.9 or 95.7 because you're close enough, right, in frequency. But from 93.3 to 106.5 is this giant frequency range, and they're nowhere close. There's nothing close. There's nowhere around it. You can't imagine that it exists. But it doesn't mean that there's not music playing on 106.5 just because you can't imagine that it exists. It just means that you can't imagine that it exists because you're too far away from it, right? So as we raise our frequency, as we raise our energy, as we flow our energy in a really intentional way, we raise our frequency. And so then what we think is possible gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So this thought of like, I'm made for an amount of abundance I cannot even imagine means I'm made for a level of success I can't even imagine. I'm made for an amount of money I can't even imagine. I'm made for a business I can't imagine it yet. So why am I going to put the limitation of something that I can imagine, something I know naturally creates resistance, something that for me wreaks a lot of havoc? Why am I going to do that? It's yeah, that's where we get stuck in this creating resistance in a way that we didn't want to. So for me, it was like, let's remove the resistance naturally, right? But again, when we choose the number winds up feeling whatever we feel about, but it actually is selling you short. What if you're capable of $1 million, but you're stressing out whether or not you can make 500 instead of I'm just going to focus on, again, becoming the woman. So this is something I say to you often, but I'm going to kind of layer this all in so you can see how this all works together. I've said this a million times. I said it to myself. I said it to others. You're not manifesting money, right? You're manifesting the version of yourself who naturally has money. Money shows up as a byproduct of who you are being. Right? So what we actually want to flow our energy to, if we want to experience more money in our life, right, is who am I when money flows easily? Who am I when money is normal? When abundance is normal, when I always have more than enough, I don't stress out over my bills, right? So those are the little things that we're talking about from an identity perspective. If I'm sitting here stressing out over whether or not I'm going to have enough money to invest in whatever it is. Am I going to have enough money for the kids' competitive sports this year? Am I going to have enough money for that vacation? Oh my God, I got this unexpected bill. That is the identity, right? Is of somebody who doesn't have enough money, right? So I want to be the person who it doesn't matter if there's unexpected bills or competitive sports are expensive or we need to fix something in the house because I just am the person who always has money. I live in that energy, right? The identity doesn't come from chasing the number. It comes from embodying the energy. Money appears when you become the woman for whom it is natural. If it is natural for you to be struggled with your money, that's what you're going to have. When it is natural for you to have it, that's what you're going to have. But all of that starts with the energy, right? It's not actually about the energy. So I'm going to walk you through very specifically what this means. But the first thing we have to do is in not setting this money goal is, again, if I'm not manifesting money, why am I manifesting a money goal? Again, I'm manifesting an identity. I'm the identity of the woman. So who is that? So this is what I'm doing instead. Okay, I just spent a lot of time telling you why I'm not doing something. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing instead. So removing the money goal doesn't mean chaos. Removing the money goal doesn't mean that we do nothing. Removing the money goal doesn't mean that we drop our ambition or we don't want the thing. We still need a container of which to flow our energy. We still need direction. We still need focus. And so this is actually the work we do in Create 2026. So instead of numbers, you focus on the vision, right? And there's an entire vision process that I walk you through and I work through with you in Create 2026, but you focus on vision. I shared my vision, I think, a couple of weeks ago in the podcast. And actually, I'm going to read it for you again because it's going to make sense. So I'm going to go find it. So here's the vision that I wrote for myself. So I shared this earlier on the pod, but I'm going to share it again because it's going to help. My vision is to live a fucking incredible life and show other women that they can too. I want money, joy, depth, fun, freedom, love, and work that lights me up. And I want women to see that it's possible because I am living it. I want a world where women are obsessed with their lives, where they're excited about their days, deeply connected in their relationships, making a ridiculous amount of money, laughing more, playing more, and not taking themselves so seriously. I'm not here to push anyone forward. I'm not here to pull anyone along. I'm here to activate the women who are ready. I'm the catalyst. I'm the spark. I'm the proof. I'm here to create a life that feels turned on, alive, and deeply meaningful, and to inspire other women to choose that for themselves. So that is my vision. That is what I'm waking up every day and living and creating and becoming. I'm becoming that woman who I just talked to you about, right? And I trust that when I become that woman, naturally money will become part of this, because this is the part that I think that some of us, this gets the little esoteric, if you will. But the truth of the matter is, well, actually, I'm going to finish this thought and then I'm going to go. I'm like, this is why I took notes, because this is important. So I'll tell you the philosophy behind it once I tell you what I'm doing with it. I'm going to stick with this. So I've read to you my vision, right? And the second anchor, now I have a vision, right? So we start with, what is your vision? What are you creating? And there's a formula for that in Create 2026. You can obviously do this on your own. And then the second part of this is the energy. So not a word of the year. So I don't love the word of the year because, again, in the past, I've always chose words of the year that are driven towards like limitless and unstoppable, that are all about money, right? So this year, what I did in Create 2026 is I chose the energy of the year. So as part of the workbook, there's like, what are the 3 energetic states that you really want to be in? What embodies the woman you're becoming, right? And these are how you want to experience your life. And so what I want you to know here is we don't have to keep asking for money. God, source, the universe, whatever you believe in, already knows what you want, right? The desire, I believe that the desires that we have, the desires of our heart, are put there by God. So I don't have to tell God every single day that I want to make $1 million. God's aware, right? And in fact, continuing to repeat that desire over and over and over again actually reinforces the lack. I don't have it. I'm not there yet. So I'm going to make the assumption that God already knows what's going on in the money situation. God's going to take care of the number of women I need to serve and the amount of money in my bank account. My job is to get to know that vision intimately and flow energy to that vision. That's what I'm building, and trusting that when I build that in an aligned way, when I remove the resistance, that the money's going to show up, right? The results are guaranteed. Your job is to become a match. That is energy work, right? So instead of reinforcing the lack, I'm going to work on the energy. And why this changes everything is because when you stop obsessing over money, your experience of life changes. And when your experience of life changes, what you're able to attract or call in from a material perspective changes. Right? And we have been taught to the exact opposite. Do more, try harder. You're not making as much money as you want to make. Your business isn't growing as quickly as you want to. You're not in the corner office that you want to be in. You don't have the job title or the payment, or you're not partner yet, or whatever it is. Do more, try harder. There's got to be another strategy. Maybe you should get another certification. Maybe you should join another networking group, right? Whatever. But if hard work worked, if doing more and learning more was actually the key, you would already have what you want because you work your fucking ass off. You're willing to do whatever it takes, right? The insanity here is working harder, chasing money, feeling pressure, and wondering why life's still hard. It's hard. You've dangled yourself a carrot that is impossible to catch. So for me, not setting a money goal and focusing on a vision and the energy is trying things a different way, right? Going all in on energy, going all in on identity, going all in on trust, because isn't that what this work is fucking about? And so for me this year, I'm being called to commit even more to that, to commit even more to the energy, commit even more to the identity, commit even more to trusting my body of work, right? Trusting what I have studied, what I have learned, what I have experienced. If I can manifest a relationship, if I can manifest all these other things, of course I can manifest more money than I can even fucking imagine. So again, why am I going to vibe at that, right? And here's the deal. I understand that this isn't logical. I'm not trying to tell you that this is logical. And in fact, the reason that you're here listening to this is because you're fucking done with logic. The universe isn't logical. Science still can't explain creation, right? Like, even regardless whether you go the science route or you go the religious route, nobody can say, like, who created God, right? Like, where did the creator come from? The creator who created us. Like, where did that person come from? We can't explain that. So why are we still pretending that somebody has all the answers, that there's a right way and a wrong way, that there is the correct way to do this, and the correct way is to write the number down on a piece of paper and chase it? Because again, if that were the correct way, at least the correct way for me, it would be working. Maybe it works for some people. And if it works for you, you should do it. But if you're listening right now, it's because it's not working for you, because it's wreaking havoc in your life. And that is why you continue to achieve things and you're never fucking happy. Right? And even with me, because some people are like, well, why was pretending somebody has the answers? Why would somebody hire you, Ryan? I don't give my clients answers. They don't need me to give them answers. I offer perspective. I hold up mirrors, right? I'm the one who shows you, hey, this limitation that you don't even realize, like you've thought it so many times, you don't even realize that it's a limiting belief. That's my job, right? The perspective of what if we look at it from this perspective? Like, can you see this from over here is really my superpower, right? Like, to me, that's the point of mentorship. But there is no right or wrong. There is what works for you. But here's the deal. There are universal laws. There are universal laws. The law of vibration is a thing. The law of attraction is a thing. There's no evidence to refute that they exist. So why not use them intentionally? Because doing what the world does, doing what everybody else does, doing what's normal, doing what's acceptable in your industry, doing what people expect you to do, doing what you've done in the past creates more of the same. And I don't know about you. I don't want more of the same. I don't want that. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm building. That's not the life that I want to have. Right? So again, I'm not telling you to have a money goal or don't have a money goal. You didn't make it to this point because there's not something in here that doesn't resonate with you, but it is an invitation to question, has chasing money actually worked, or has it just kept you in pressure? And if 2026 gets to feel different, lighter, more spacious, more alive, maybe the bravest move isn't setting a bigger goal. Maybe it's trusting who you're becoming. Right? Like, what a cool way to think about this. What if the reason why your life doesn't feel the way that you want it to feel is because the way that you've been approaching things doesn't work? That's quite literally the basis of the Create 2026 private sessions of this entire experience, right? The baseline is, do you want to make a plan and work really hard at it? Or do you want to use your energy to fuel a vision and become the person of which those results naturally happen? You get to pick. Again, there's no right or wrong. But I believe that people who listen to this podcast, who are part of this community, who hang out here, are here because you want something different. Something in your soul is calling to you, telling you that there is something for you here. If you feel that call to it, lean into it. So you don't have to go, do this the way it feels good to you. If you want to talk through this, if you really want to focus on using your energy to create, book a Create 2026 session. There's still only $197 for now. You get the entire workbook. You get like a 38-minute teaching to go worth it, and a 60-minute one-on-one session where we can really, like, if you're listening to me and you're like, Ryan, this sounds great, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to cast a vision. I don't know what the vision feels like. Like book the session. That's what it's fucking for. But what if you have been limiting yourself by chasing money? Thanks so much for tuning in to the Uncensored Self podcast. If this conversation cracked something open for you, trust that that's the work. And share this episode with a woman in your life who's ready to stop performing and start creating. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review. It helps this message reach the women who need it most. Remember, you're the creator. The rules are yours. And your uncensored self, she already knows what to do. Keep leading, keep listening, keep becoming.